We don't breathe for any particular meaning. We breathe so that we can continue to live. Why does blood go to our brain? It doesn't go there for any particular meaning. It goes there so our brain can continue to survive and function. I think dreaming sleep or REM sleep is like that. Now, REM sleep is not only our special property as humans. REM sleep is seen throughout the entire mammal kingdom and is present to a small extent in birds. So it's something we share as part of a common biological heritage dating back millions of years. Now, it's hard to imagine chipmunks having dreams as a way of generating some kind of internal meaning. They have REM sleep, but it's hard to imagine that this is generated by a psychological process, for example. The other kind of evidence that REM sleep, the basis, the biological state associated with dreaming, is something that's built into the brain, comes from our own personal history. And when we're first born, we spend over half our time in dreaming sleep. It's something very important to the brain. And we think that what REM sleep likely does to the brain is furnish an internal source of activation that promotes growth and development of the brain. So it's present in infants whose psychological apparatus is very poorly developed and who probably don't have many complex psychological constructs. But they dream a lot. They dream even more before they're born.
The Hobson-McCarley theory of dreams is still very controversial. In fact, an article outlining it in the American Journal of Psychiatry provoked more letters to the editor than any other article in the journal's history. But there's also a middle ground between their theory that dreams are all physiological in origin and Freud's theory that they're all psychological. This middle view starts with the brain's ability to form an idea about what the external world is like based on the information available to it. This construction or model of the world, which is formed by the cerebral cortex, both informs our beliefs and directs our actions. But when we sleep, information from the external world is largely cut off. So the only world our constantly active brain can model is the one already inside it. Stored memories, recent concerns, current emotions, and expectations, which can be activated by electrical impulses discharged from within the brain. In other words, dreams are the interplay of the physiological triggering of brain waves and the psychological functioning of the imaginative, interpretive parts of the mind. Stephen LaBerge of Stanford University has been studying this interplay between mind and body in a series of provocative experiments on dreaming.
Our scientific laboratory studies have indicated that there are striking correspondences between what you do in the dream state and what happens to your physical body and brain. So that if you dream you're doing something, to your brain it's as if you're actually doing this. Fortunately, there are some restraints on physiological responses. For instance, in some of our work with dream sex, we found that in the lucid dream state that people's respiration rate would double, for instance, but their heart rates only went up by 5 or 10 beats per minute instead of doubling. And it seems that the heart rate is held down in the dream state, in REM sleep, by the strong parasympathetic nervous system activation, so that there's some built-in safety factors that prevent you from acting out your dream. Likewise, your muscles are generally paralyzed during REM sleep. So if you dream you're running, you don't actually run. What happens is the brain sends impulses to your muscles, probably the same ones that would if you were actually running, except for thanks to the part of the brain that prevents you from acting out your dreams, you just get twitches in your legs that correspond to it. So it's really the brain is the level on which you find the most striking changes, so that if you dream, you sing or count, the same parts of the brain get activated as would if you were actually singing and counting.
The work being done in LaBerge's sleep lab also involves the relationship between the mind and the dream itself, especially in a dream state known as lucid dreaming.
A lucid dream is a dream in which you know that you're dreaming while it's happening, so that you're in the middle of a dream and suddenly something tells you that you're dreaming, that you're making it all up, it's all in your own mind, and therefore that you could do anything.
Are you awake, Lynn?
Yes.
What just happened?
I was dreaming I was sitting in a car when suddenly the sun was in my eyes. But almost immediately, I knew that it was not the sun, but actually the light. I knew I was dreaming, so I flew out of the window of the car.
Well, that sounds good.
Dreamers were taught to clench their fists and use very specific eye movements to alert LaBerge when they were having a lucid dream. LaBerge then triggered a flashing light which brought the dreamers to conscious awareness of the dream. The dreamer could then take conscious control of the dream and even alter its outcome.
Let's say you're running away from something. You realize it's just a dream. Then you can get the extra courage necessary to turn around and face it, say, what is this? What do you want? And in my experience, when you do this, every time the dream transforms in some positive way, so that whatever you're afraid of then becomes friendly in some way. And that from having faced these fears, naturally your waking self-confidence improves.
The idea of changing the direction of a dream is highly controversial. Many psychologists feel that a dreamer should allow a dream to follow its own course to fully benefit from the dream's symbolism. But LaBerge suggests that if something is chasing you, it doesn't necessarily matter what that something symbolizes. Simply facing it in your dream may subconsciously solve the problem.
The kind of argument to say that you shouldn't control your dreams, I think, is exactly parallel. You shouldn't control your thinking. Your thinking should just be random and however it happens without the conscious mind.
Wherever they stand in this controversy, many psychologists are fascinated by lucid dreaming, mainly because it represents a new way of intentionally altering our consciousness. While daydreaming, fantasizing, sleeping, and dreaming are the stuff of ordinary alterations in consciousness, other kinds of alterations may provide new insights into how our mind works. What happens, for instance, when people use psychoactive drugs, or hypnosis, or when they undergo an operation that separates the cerebral cortex into two parts that can't communicate with each other, or when they develop multiple personalities to cope with severe mental problems? What transformations in consciousness occur then? Join us next time for some of the most remarkable and unusual aspects of consciousness, the mind hidden and divided. Until then, I'm Philip Zimbardo.
Funding for this program is provided by Annenberg CPB to advance excellent teaching. For information about this and other Annenberg